In the last 48 hours, MicroStrategy transferred over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin to Fidelity. And I cannot lie, Bitcoin is looking a little bit heavy here. In today's video, I'll be discussing exactly this, going over the most recent Bitcoin price action, looking at the most important level that we need to reclaim if we are going to see a bigger relief rally. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. First things first, this isn't FUD. I just wanted to make you aware of MicroStrategy's most recent movements in this market. So far, they have transferred around $16 billion worth of Bitcoin to Fidelity. Now, they talked about how this was simply for security purposes, so we have to take their word for it at this point in time. Now, the next thing I want to show you, most importantly, the Coinbase premium is continuing to increase here. What level am I looking at for Bitcoin? Because this is ultimately positive, but when you look at the Bitcoin price action, we are currently still below $93,000. We're having trouble accepting back above that yearly open. You can see that I went long on Bitcoin from much lower levels. We covered this on the channel at length, already secured some significant profits, and I still have a significant position in the market, simply willing to let this one play out. But looking at Bitcoin right here, you can see the yearly open is marked in yellow, and we are starting to get a little bit of rejection here. We also just about tapped into that anchored VWAP, which we covered in yesterday's video. If you watched yesterday's video, I talked about how it's not the best risk to reward to be longing at these levels, despite Bitcoin showing a little bit of strength. Now, at this point in time, we are at a crucial point in the market. If we cannot reclaim the yearly open, we can easily reject lower. That's why I was also vocal on the fact that I was looking for a short in this market. Now, I haven't quite entered my short. I'm still in my long. I'm willing to get stopped out at break even if we are to dip, for example, all the way down to my entry, which is below $83,000, because we secured some nice profits. But the point is, this yearly open is absolutely pivotal. The thing you need to consider, though, is that consolidation below a level like this is actually bullish. Typically, when we consolidate around here and we're flirting with this level time and time again, we should be seeing a spike back above that level. That will likely be the trigger for me to potentially consider a short in this market as we hopefully come back down, chop within this region, and then break above the yearly open. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the video that I would be discussing the most pivotal level for Bitcoin to reclaim if we are to get a larger relief rally. And that level isn't the yearly open, it is $98,000. The reason I say this, if we go to this Bitcoin chart, is because this essentially flirts with the overarching downtrend that we've been seeing since the 126K all-time high. If we can make it above $98,000 and we hold it as support on the daily time frame, I would firmly be expecting Bitcoin to move much higher, likely back around to this bull market support band, which is between 105 all the way up to around $110,000. If we can make it here, that would be the trigger for a potential long if we can manage to hold there as support. If is the key word, because right now we are clearly getting rejected at that yearly open, but I still think that we can likely get a wick up before Bitcoin tells us its next big move in this market. The reason I also say this is because we do have some of that upside liquidity, but I would be very surprised if we don't come back down and grab this downside liquidity. I haven't entered a short quite yet. I will let you know as soon as I do, especially if you're in my premium group, because that's where people get real-time signals. But at this point in time, I'm just continuing to hold on to my most recent Bitcoin long because we had such a great entry. Reminder, if you want to know exactly how I'm trading this market, you do have the first link in my description down below. You DM me the keyword premium on Telegram and I'd be happy to onboard you into my free premium group. The only requirement is that you sign up with one of my affiliate exchange links and you start trading on there as you normally would. I would typically recommend Bluffin, which is the second link in my description down below, because you can get 15% cash back, and if you are a relatively big trader, you can get VIP access, which gives you reduced fees. Super critical in my opinion. And please also remember that I am not a financial advisor. There's a disclaimer in the description down below. I am just a guy on the internet sharing his own crypto analysis and his trades in this market. So back to the Bitcoin chart. First and foremost, we have to get confirmation above the yearly open if we have any chance to target this 98K level. But the reason why 98K is so significant outside of this trend line is also because it coincides with the pivot that we've been discussing on the channel at length. What you're seeing right here is the pivot that allowed us to make that brand new all-time high for Bitcoin. And so I just want to make you aware that if Bitcoin can make it above this level and hold it as support on the daily time frame, I would likely be looking for a new long in this market. However, any sharp rejection here, assuming that we can break above the yearly open and target that 98K level, I would be seeing as an amazing shorting opportunity. We have to play the market that's right in front of us, and I just discussed my plans with you. Now, taking a look at the liquidity, another reason why 98K is so critical is because there is tons of liquidity to the upside there. We cannot ignore that fact. Now, maybe if I change this liquidity threshold a little bit, we'll get a better picture here. You can see that if I go on the 1 month time frame, essentially most of that upside liquidity is found right around this region. And therefore it is a massive confluence zone. We have the bearish trend line for Bitcoin. We have this 98K pivot that allowed us to make that new all-time high. And we have tons of liquidity to the upside on the larger time frames. Now, I need to bring this to your attention. You can see here that a lot more longs have started to pile into the market. And so it would not surprise me if we continue to chop around before Bitcoin makes its next big decision. Let's see how it plays out. Ultimately, I want to see us go ahead and reclaim that yearly open, and then we can go ahead and target $98,000. If we cannot reclaim the yearly open, we can roll over from here, to make you perfectly aware. Now, I also wanted to bring this to your attention because Binance came out yesterday and said we are going to see a market comeback in Q1 of 2026. February and March will be a bull market again, based on a combination of macro indicators. Actually, I shouldn't say that this is Binance. This is the head of research at CoinMarketCap, and Binance just posted it on their Twitter. But you never really know if you can trust these guys because there's tons of manipulation in this market. Remember, sometimes whales tell the truth, but they often lie in plain sight, and when you've been conditioned to distrust it, they'll tell the truth again. And here, they are telling the truth. At least this is what this guy thinks. But you'll distrust it because you've been conditioned more often to lies than truths. But let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. And we also have some pretty interesting news. World's biggest YouTuber, Mr. Beast, will be launching financial services platform. Now, this guy came out and said, sell everything. This is definitely the top for now. I mean it. We'll have to see how this plays out, but this is a very, very interesting endeavor for Mr. Beast himself. And I just wanted to get back to the ETFs. From Vanguard's perspective, which we covered in yesterday's video, they will be buying Bitcoin through the IBIT ETF, which is essentially by BlackRock. So you can see that we're getting a little bit of inflows, but yesterday we still saw a net negative flow for the Bitcoin spot ETFs. And so it is definitely something that you need to consider. Just because Vanguard may start buying, it doesn't mean that we're just going to get these massive inflows into the Bitcoin spot ETFs. Now, I also wanted to talk about the fact that Tom Lee came out saying, we believe crypto prices have bottomed. This guy has said stuff like this time and time again. Be aware, they're building up liquidity. And the last thing I wanted to cover right before I started filming this video, the initial jobless claims came out at 191,000, below expectations of 220K. And tomorrow should also be a pretty significant day because we'll get an insight as to what the Fed is doing with their balance sheet, core PCE price index, personal income, and personal spending month over month. And lastly, rate cuts are now priced in at around a 90% chance. So we'll have to see how this develops, but ultimately it does look like we will be getting rate cuts in December. So right now, looking at Bitcoin, I'm not willing to jump into any aggressive trades quite yet until we get the confirmation that I need. And those confirmations would be either a massive rejection from the yearly open, where I would be looking to take a little bit of a scalp short, or we reclaim the yearly open, make our way towards $98,000, that massive confluence zone, arguably the most important zone, and then we either get rejected or we can manage to hold above there as support on the daily time frame, that is. I am actually looking for weakness in this market to execute my next big trade, which will likely be a short. Remember, the trend is still very much down. Don't fight the trend. Of course, we caught a nice long at the bottom here, but there is a chance that we can get rejected in the near future. If we do confirm back above $98,000, then man, oh man, it will make for an excellent long in this market. If you want to know exactly how I'm playing it, remember, you do have the first link in my description down below where I provide real-time trade updates. And that sums up today's quick video. Not much has changed since yesterday's video. Yesterday, we discussed how Vanguard got their entry into crypto through the Bitcoin spot ETFs, and Bitcoin is essentially just consolidating right at the same price. We are currently below the yearly open. I want to see a reclaim of this level to hopefully target $98,000, but we'll have to see what the price action gives us. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.